We gather here today to take a look at the G.I. Joe classified series Nemesis Immortal, aka Nemesis Enforcer, aka another Cobra Law character that, according to the OGs, nobody wanted, yet somehow it sold out as soon as it was released. Does anyone have the new Nemesis Immortal for a decent, non-scalper price? I am looking for one for my son. Taking a closer look at the figure, this may actually end up being the last G.I. Joe that I purchased in 2024, as down here in Texas, we really haven't gotten the new wave. And if that was to be the case, I am perfectly okay with that, because the amount of detail and sculpting on this figure is pretty insane, and I love it. Starting things out with accessories, we get two fists that are on up and down hinges. We get two weapon holding hands that are also on up and down hinges. We get our normal head. We get an armored head that has this really nice bone-like armor plating that goes all the way to the back of his head, almost in a mohawk type of fashion, which is pretty cool. We get two swords that continue that whole Cobra La organic shell-like feel to them, with a really nice fang at the end of the handle. We get this really nice set of tentacles, all in bendy wire, little suction cups, like a squid octopus down here at the bottom, and a nice little beak in a shell that you can use as a pet, as a backpack. So here's a front view of that, side view, and then back view. Or you can use it as a face hugger of sorts. That way he can strangle down any Joes that try to get in the way. You also get the infamous wings, so let's break down the articulation. There is a slight butterfly joint which allows you to move them back a little bit and forward a little bit. Not a big range of motion, but it is still there. The shoulder pad for the wings is actually on a floating kind of mechanism, so as you rotate the wing, it follows it if you choose to do that. You can also kind of leave it plugged in, but then it will start to hinder things. There is a hinge right here at the shoulder of the wing, allowing you to hinge upwards and down. There is also a hinge and peg here at the elbow of the knee, so this allows you to rotate the wing around and then also hinge it down and up. Also, the wings themselves are on this nice translucent plastic, so I have the flashlight right behind it, but even under normal daylight you can see a little bit of light kind of fighting through the wing, which is pretty cool in my opinion. And last, I believe it was Lenny from the G.I. Joe team that said you could also use this as some sort of second pet bat thing from Cobra Law, which I think is pretty cool if you don't want to have the wings out and you just want to have them with a bunch of random animals. It does have these kind of fangs right here at the front, which help kind of build that image, so I think that's pretty neat. Starting out with articulation, there is a double ball peg here from the head to the neck, and then a ball peg from the neck to the torso, all together allowing you to look up not so much, and then look down not so much. You can get your rotation out of that, and then you can get some decent tilt. We have a butterfly joint that allows you to move the arm forward and back that far. The shoulder pad is on a little flex peg that follows the shoulder, so as you move it, it will follow it, and then it can hinge out that far. For the actual arms, we do have a bicep swivel and then double jointed elbows that can move in that far. Also, the forearm is on a peg that rotates at this section right here. And we already covered the hands. We have a ball peg at the torso and then a ball peg going into the waist area, altogether allowing you to crunch very little and then go back a fair amount. There is also tilting thanks to those joints and rotating as you see the need. For the hips, we get the same mechanism that we've gotten with other Joes, so you can bring down the leg, bring it up, rotate it forward that far, rotate it back, and then go out a fair amount for a big character. Thanks to the sculpt, we have some really nice thigh swivel that is actually hidden with the armor plating, so that's pretty cool. Double jointed knees that bend in that far. We get our typical peg and hinge combo for the ankles. However, the armor plating does get in the way if you try to go up and down in a traditional manner. What I recommend that you do is that you actually rotate the foot out of the way of the armor and then use the hinge so that you can get a lot more range allowing you to also rotate it back in place around the armor pieces that block you from using that joint. Getting into size comparisons, here he is with the Retro Duke and then the Sergeant Slaughter. Here he is with our both most recent Cobra Commanders. This is the Retro Cobra Commander, and then the Cobra La Once-a-Man Cobra Commander. Here he is with Buzzer, because if you are keeping up with the Energon universe and you've read Cobra Commander, then you know that these two have a very friendly playdate. Here he is with Serpentor, who is slightly taller than him. Now, side note, Serpentor lives at the very top of my bookcase. I have an IKEA Billy with the extension at the top, and that's where he kind of reigns supreme. So bringing him down for size comparisons is a bit of a pain in the butt. I have to take down the whole thing just to bring him over. So if you're watching this, drop me some love in the comments down below. I'd really appreciate it. And last, I wanted to bring in Road Pig, because I've seen a lot of people say that Nemesis is reusing parts from Road Pig. That's not true. The actual torso is different. Road Pig's abdomen belly area is a lot more fat. It has less definition in the actual abs, whereas Nemesis has a lot more of a ripped take to him, not to mention the actual sculpting of his suit. So that's a lie. And then when it comes to the arms, they're actually different arms. Nemesis has more muscle definition in his biceps, where Road Pig does not. Maybe the shoulders, and at that point I'm kind of splitting hairs, but the reality is it's two different sculpts. They're not really reusing parts as far as people are saying. Alright, so let's wrap it up with the good and the bad. Now, as always, I start out typically with the bad, but the bad is more so improvements or things I wish they would have done differently, not so much deal breakers. Starting out with the wings, I have two nitpicks. Number one being the size. In the Energon universe, they had a lot more mass to them. And this is briefly based off of that. Even the original figure, I feel like, had more mass to the wings, 3 3/4, whatever, right? A good example of what I would have liked to have seen are the Venom No 2-pack wings. I'll put them right behind him, but just a little extra, I feel, would have done wonders to him in a sense of kind of bringing it all together. They feel nice, but again, just they should be a little bigger in my opinion. My second nitpick with the wings is that I wish there would have been kind of a joint right here in the middle of the wings to allow them to compact and extend. Again, bringing in the Venom wings from the 2-pack, they do have that, joint right there that allows them to go out and bring them back in. As a matter of fact, it's crazy because when it comes to the G.I. Joe team, when it comes to wings overall, the ones that they gave Raptor are perfect in my opinion in terms of articulation. This is what I would like to see in wings going forward. So I think had they included a lot more of this possibility with Nemesis Immortal, we would have had a close to perfect figure. I mean, I love this figure regardless, but had it had this type of articulation right here with the extension and the bending, it would have been really cool. As it stands, it's basic, it does the job, but it could have been better. Next up, we have the fists, and they are on up and down hinges. I wish they would have been on in and out hinges to do this motion right here. I prefer this motion just because it gives the figure a little more expressiveness when you have the fist kind of bent inwards, especially for a brawler like this guy who, for me, he's primarily going to be using his fists to smash things. For them to be on an up and down motion is very out of the regular, and I don't understand why they went with this decision. I hope that in the future, when it comes to fists, have them in an in and out motion, and then when it comes to weapon holding hands, by all means, up and down motion is perfect for me. Next up, the holsters / sheaths that he has on his thighs. Two things. Number one, they're a bit of an eyesore. The white used on these is too clean, where it doesn't really match with the dry brushing done on the shoulders and even the duller white here on his arm blades. Maybe had it been painted like this, it wouldn't bother me as much. But the main thing for me is that when you actually put the swords in here, it's too much going on where it actually gets in the way of the articulation. So to really have these function better, you have to have the swords out. Again, I really don't like this look right here. However, if you feel the same way as me, it's good to know that you can slide these off and give him a more cleaner look. Going back to the Energon comics, which I keep talking about, he didn't really have these. I understand that this is a callback to the original figure, but I think I prefer him without these things on his thighs. Now, despite all of those nitpicks and the typical G.I. Joe articulation, which is great except for the head and the torso, I still really like this figure. Specifically, the sculpting and the detailing done in every aspect of him really makes this figure stand out in a G.I. Joe collection. If they take the time that they did to make this figure, to create the other Cobra Law characters, then I'm more than happy to wait and get 1 or 2 Cobra Law characters a year. I think that is going to pay off in the end, even though a lot of people like to have everything immediately. I really do not mind waiting if this is the type of quality that's going to be presented. As always, let me know what you think of Nemesis Immortal down below. Thank you so much for watching and subscribing, and I'll catch you all next time. Peace.